How's it? Was Vianney? How's it, Vianney? How's it funny? But you did all right in the CPI today? How's it a bit quiet at the moment, but 4 o'clock it comes. Maybe a few guys join. Might do a good quiet session today, and then hopefully we'll get some trades out tomorrow. After the running around there, it might be a bit quiet. We shall see. Worries me, a lot of guys, despite my warnings, decide after doing so well in the CPI movements, start jumping in and trying because the adrenaline's high. And I know one or two put the bloody money back again because that's just emotion taking over. It's no wait and tell. It's something you've got to learn yourself. It's discipline, really. And I'm not a master it myself. It's very difficult. Yeah, you know, the ship has sailed. Now they want to go in again or sell it down. It jumps around. Look at it. On the 15 minutes, sell it down. All right, fine, came. And they buy it up and they think this is all right. They buy it again there to take it up again. And it comes off. That ship sailed. Let it settle down. You know what I mean? I bet. So I'm very frustrated for you, and I think was it the other guy anyway. Maybe try and attend platform training tonight just to get that sorted out because the guys did okay out of the CPI, and obviously I want you to do okay. You put the legwork in. You've joined the room. You put the hard yards in. It'd be a pity not to reap the reward. So I hope you get sorted there. I do upset that when you close one the other. I don't know why that is. It's a pity because, as I say, it was far more successful, the reaction than I expected after having the result coming out more or less the same. Unfortunately, because of the same, that's why we got quite a bit of pullback. Now it's gone back to indecisive territory. I remember I said many times, I'm praying hands on knees, have a differential, get a guidance. Because it's the same, we haven't really got much guidance. Is it getting worse or is it getting better? This damn inflation. And that's why I got excited and now it's cooled down a bit. Now it's gone back into quiet mode again. This is driving me insane with lack of market direction. I can do nothing about it. I'm just saying it's frustrating and that's what's happening. We'll find a way, don't get me wrong, but I'm just giving you the background reason. And if it's a lot below the expected, that would be wonderful. Means it's working. That's a better news for everyone concerned. But even if it's above, we could at least we got a direction. And that's the main thing. How do you do today, Paul, in the CPI? I think you were there. How do you do? Not how do you do, but how did you do?
What with my how's it, Roger? You mean with trade?
Trade in the CPI. I think you were there, were you, at 2 o'clock?
No, I wasn't. I couldn't make it. I had other trainings.
Oh, sorry. There's over 100 people there, I think. So I thought you were there. Okay, not a problem.
How did it go?
They did pretty well. A lot of the guys made a few grand there, so it's a pity anyway. Never mind, catch you next time. Okay.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Like I mentioned, the bang in here, it's going to be fairly quiet this afternoon. After dust settled, I'd be honest, if it'd been a big difference, then we could maybe find a few more trades to clamber on that direction. Bandwagon. Hope you're all with me what I'm trying to say here. But unfortunately, because I can't say I'm that surprised, we've had a bit of a pullback on gold. Because the news to push it up there, I was a bit surprised it did. That's more emotion than reality. There wasn't a lot of news, in my opinion, to shoot it up there, but the dollar come off so much. It was expected, actually, been discounted in. There's such a desperation after this sort of boring sideways action to grab on even to the crumbs of movement to suddenly realize it's all it is a crumb. And that's why I think a bit of profit-taking pullback. I still see gold on the upside. Fear factor is without doubt out there. Pullback. The beauty of now is I don't only have to pull back to 2020, maybe come back to 2030. Maybe we can look at a buy there. I'm going to be rather relaxed to do one this afternoon. I just mentioned that, okay? It's going to be a curtail one, this. I don't want guys to jump back in and start getting all high on adrenaline, made a few bucks, now double, treble it up and blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? You can short money, but I'm trying to discourage it because I think it's going to be a bit sideways. Could be wrong, we shall see. It happened to a guy I know, it must have been a few months ago, and he had a phenomenal day. He made a phenomenal profit. I told him, I beg you, put that, close that laptop and do something else. He said, oh, I will. He did, but he couldn't as he came back in, he put the whole lot back in again. That wasn't strategic, pure emotion. Okay, so it pulls back a bit. We can look at the gold buy. I think it. No, I'm looking at the buy anyway. Okay. Just so we look at the dollar index, just to see what's happening. Yeah, it's starting to recover a bit now. I think it's going to go back into doldrums. It's going to go back. It's 101's holding. I think 102 is going to hold, and we're going back to the same story. I think the Nasdaq is going to come off a bit. Had a nice big jump, which that's nothing to do. I mean, let's go to the daily. What I mean is here. This is the situation there, the previous ones, fundamentally push it up. I'm not sure that's going to be sustained. I can't say go and sell it now, because clearly that's broken through, that's a buy technically. On a momentum level, we might be able to sell it. That's an EJS one, momentum level, actually that's too far away. That's 125 pips away, that's too far away. But I'm not sure that's going to sustain. It might get to 13.5. I think it's going to hover and then come off. So what I'm saying, rather convoluted way is I wouldn't try and short it yet. So if we get to 35 and falls off, then we can maybe short it down. I'm not sure we're going to get sustained movement back up. Okay, I'm just checking it out there, guys. See what you think. That's what I think. And then obviously you can put in your bits and pieces as well, and we'll come out of it. But it's nice we had a great CPI. Just disappointed. Again, it's gone back to, in my opinion, a bit of a directionless market. And I hope you understand the reason behind my thinking. Because if you don't ask, because you've got to understand why. Not a question, go, well, Joe Soap says that, so it must be. No, it's got to be a thinking why. It's all about teaching a person to fish rather than fishing for them. I'm doing quite a bit of talking, I reckon, even a bit of sore throat here, eh?
Roger, what is
Yeah.
your take on oil today?
More or less the price action tells you that. Hope it's going to be that. Well, save me breath and look, show that. We're on the date, no, sorry. Put on our chart, probably a better story there. Yeah, look at that. Bounced up, lack of direction, bounced down, moving up again. What I think is going to happen is pure guesswork. This. I think it's going to hover. I think it's going to get there. I think it might even get there. I think if it gets there, we short it. I just don't think that's going to be maintained at that level. We've got enough problems in the world at the moment without having oil price back above $80 again. But I'm not sure it's going to get there. I don't have enough confidence it's going to come back as yet. I think it's going to another one go in the dollar rooms. I don't find a trade there. The guys who took it down here, what a pleasure. If they modify the stock, stopped out in the profit. I've moved mine to 72, and unfortunately I got stopped out at 72, and it went up to 73. Then it's come off again. I'm not joining it again. Yeah, the major one we'll all be waiting for. I'm going to be quite honest. Now it's all cooled down. I'm very disappointed. I'm glad the guys came to CPI. I'm glad they make a big profit. We're all fully excited. I'm talking now more of an old hand point of view. I'm very disappointed. That I was hoping, was praying, going on about it, give us direction. It hasn't done that. So it's going to be the same old speculation. Should this happen? What this happen? That's all talk. We needed figures, concrete figures, to see it's working. We didn't know it's not working, the interest rate situation, or it is working or not. It's not. So unfortunately, the market will, when it's all calmed down, with all the jumping around, I personally think it's going to perceive that. And I'm effing frustrated about it, to be honest. Okay. So that's my take on that. Have you any other takes on it? Do you agree, disagree? What do you think?
No, I'm not sure if it's worth our while to try and chase it up to the 200 or 100-day even there at 77.
I don't think so. I think it's my good chance of getting there. That's a good chance. I'm even highly excited about that. And that's only $3 away. Not worth it. You won't get a stop. You won't get the mass. A minimum, you got to chase it there, and even that's pushy. I'm not confident about that. Not that confident about it. I think it's likely, but I'm not that confident. I think it's likely, but then it might not. He might hover around here, and he might come off. It'd be like NGAS. You're stuck in the thing, no direction. Now you're going to get frustrated. Even if you had a decent sized account where you don't worry about having it a little bit tied up. When your account is taking a bit of a hit lately with all this frustration, the last thing you want is tie up what margin you got with this thing going nowhere slowly. You know what I mean? That this unfortunately that's the way. Sorry, I'm just saying as it is. Okay. NZD. Yeah. It seems for the moment, for some reason, downside. I'm not quite sure why. You're probably going to buy on it. Sell. Okay. We're going to sell on this. It might continue. To be honest, Morris, I'm not. Marnie. Oh, Marnie. I'm not bloody sure, to be honest. Remember this, the Antipodes. You know, I say the Antipodes. That part of the world is called the Antipodes. And they're similar economists, very similar, like American and Canada. It's very similar cultures. They both like rugby. They both like cricket. They both like sailing. They both like golf. Same sort of sporty types. One's a more population and one's a bigger island, obviously. But the overall, you know what I mean? It's pretty similar. It's had a bit of a downside. Look back here, it was a bit upside. Will it get a bounce here? It might just get a technical bounce here, even at the sell area. Maybe think it's overblown a bit. Maybe we should buy it up a bit. But when they've tried that yesterday, the sellers came in. The day before, the sellers came in. It's not getting going. Is it going to break through? What is so weak about the Aussie, or what's so strong about the NZD? Is going to push it through? I had absolutely no idea. So I'll be honest with you, Marnie. I can't. I'm not confident to call the trade either way on that. If you come back to me and said buy, and finally come back and say sell, I'm going to turn around and say you both could be right, but I'm going to LIA it. Simple as that. That's what I take on that one. How do you feel, finally, Brian? Anybody there? Do you feel confident? Do you think that's going to jump up? Apart from the fact it's low, it's on a bit of support, and that's obvious, but that's not really a strong enough reason. I mean, you could say the sell's there, lower low. That's what she's talking about, and I hear that in the sell zone. But is that telling me it's going to continue that direction? Especially when it's come to that glass ceiling, not glass, there's a concrete bloody floor, not ceiling, sorry, floor, concrete floor it's going to break through. What is going to drive it to break that concrete floor? Get what I'm saying there, Marty?
Yeah, I think if you look at a couple of days back, it's that floor, as you mentioned, it went up and there it's a resistance.
Yeah.
At the bottom, the candles. So it won't go down further. I don't think so. What
No,
will
I think it's going to need an economic fundamental driver to push it further down. I don't know what that's going to be. And even I did think it could happen. It's like saying, what do you think is going to happen to gold after the release of the non-farm in June? I have no idea. To preempt that's impossible. That's just guesswork. That's just guesswork. That's not a rational setup. And even try to rationalate, the euro comes back and bites. I can honestly say 50-50. If you think it's going to go up, I'll back you. If it's going to go down, I'll back you. If I think it's going to go sideways, I'll back you even more. I think it's going to hover around there. It's going to pop up a bit, go down, and tease you by coming off. Then it's going to pop up a bit. It's going to be sideways. And then something's going to happen fundamentally, push it through or push it back up again. What that's going to be, I have no idea. I honestly, Marnie, flick a coin, take your chances, if that's what turns you on. Otherwise, leave it alone. If you're bored, put a micro on it and then close your eyes and hope. But I don't think you're that kind of person. Engineers are not usually that type of person. Okay, right. Let's have a look at something else. As I say, the NAS, keep an eye. We could do okay with the NAS. I want you to be patient on this one. I think it might get to 12.5. Let's put the weekly on. Ah, there we are. It might get, well, it might even get, I think it might get to around 12.5. There we are. See that previous high there? Might get to there. When I say 12.5, it's very volatile. It'll be 12.6, 12.550, I don't know. I think round about these levels here, I think it's found its plateau. It's going to take a major area of a deflation area. Powell's going to come up and say, I'm going to arrest these banks. I'm worried about it. I'm going to bring down in June interest rates. Let that out to the press. Then that thing's going to go shooting up. I don't think that's going to happen. So I think it's going to get plateau right about this level. Maybe might get a little bit higher to the technical areas I just mentioned. Then I think it's going to hold and it's going to come off. And I think you put a stop up there and run it down. And I think maybe get some movement. Whether it gets back there or not, I don't know. All depends on interest rate, inflation, what the worries about the global economy, whether we're going to go into recession or not. The debt ceiling is another one. You heard about the States, the debt ceiling. It's going to be raised. I mean, McCarthy, he's now they got the House and he's now the Speaker. It's got all Nancy Pelosi's job. She's a Democrat. And he's arguing out with Biden. He doesn't want to do it. Biden says we should do it. And he says, okay, we will do. Then you must tone down these incredibly expensive social programs, which are costing money, which you don't have. Biden says no. And he'll make all these excuses. We're going to look after the poor. What they actually mean, we don't lose those poor people's votes. Remember, they don't give a sod about the poor, trust me. They give about the sodding poor people's vote. And so that's going to happen. And then they're going to capitulate. It's about 3 weeks' time. They'll run out of money. So they're going to turn around before they have a government shutdown. It's too bad for the Democratic Party with elections coming up next year. They're all panicking. That's why they're trying to impeach Trump, not put him in jail or whatever, because they're frightened of him. They're frightened of DeSantis. They're frightened of Republicans because their administration, apart from all the woke talk, has been financially a complete, utter, total mess. And they're terrified that they're going to lose their power. So they're going to huff and puff, and then they're going to agree to increase the debt ceiling. And it's getting back to the same old problem. We can't let the American economy fail, so we'll just bail them out again, like Eskom, but on a bigger scale. That's what I think. Horrible, cynical, factual, I believe is the case. Sorry, but there it is.
Yeah, but I said there's nothing else they can do because the money's already been spent. So they just need to keep face.
Yeah, that's exactly it. The only way they're going to keep face is huff and puff, have another meeting in a week's time, and then come to the party and raise the debt ceiling. They have to. There's no ways they can't. Don't believe me. I know that. You know that. The masses might not. Still play a little bit of a party game. As you say, some face saving. Ladies, Marnie, you know about male egos. You're married. You know what a male ego is about. Just bigger than Farney and my male ego. And of course, playing the party line and all that sort of thing. It's horrible. It's horrible. It's even talk now of maybe democracy actually is not working, and I don't know what we're going to replace it with, but it's not much better than communism. It's just a power game. And it's been totally misused, that power. I follow this stuff quite a lot, so you know, I read up on it. I'm not putting as well as these guys with degrees, etc., and articulately maybe, but the bottom line, it's just totally misuse of power and other people's money. It's not money that's being generated. And now they've got control of the media. The Democratic Party, it's only the Fox News, and they've toned it down a bit after Tucker Carlson's been fired. So they've toned it down a bit. So they've almost total control of the information source. You don't get bigger power than that. Yeah, well, yeah, but you see, yeah, that's true. It's like, what's his name? What's his name again? What's that bloody guy? The exchange rate maker in the UK. He's a very famous guy, Hungarian guy, came over, pretty much Democrat, uses billions for that reason. Think of his name now. You know, what's his name? Terrible name, getting old. Same sort of principle. But that sounds very sexy. But the problem is, to do that, you've got to be able to afford that kind of risk and put that kind of money down on it. So what's his bloody name again? You know, that guy. You'll think of it now. And then you know, the Hungarian guy is about 80s now. He kicked out the UK from the exchange rate and took a massive short on it. But he risked billions to do it. So, you know, these guys coming in with a few hundred rand, you've got to put quite a bit on it and take that risk to do it. And the Saudis can, because the reason the Saudis can, because it's not their money, it's oil money, just flows in. You know, they didn't make it. They haven't been sitting on the bloody stuff. Foreigners found it, foreigners extracted it, and they were sitting on it. What a pleasure. And the part of the royal family. Sorry for Saudi, but the way it is, you know. But yeah, overall, I am not, as you probably gathered, particularly positive about the international global economic setup at the moment. It's held together by tech stocks. I think once it gets to the stage, it's gone too far. I think it's going to be a big pullback. But could be next year, could be the year after. We get another Democratic government in it. Democratic governments spend, but they don't actually help them making it. Nothing to do whether you like people or not. I'm talking about from an economic perspective, or we all start getting upset. I'm not knocking it. If you vote who you like, it's up to you. But I think economically, they're not doing a very good job. And it's not just me saying, it's several people and me. So yeah, we just got to be aware of this so we can take advantage. This thing falls, you know, we want to be on board. Problem is when, that's the whole problem. But yeah, we want to be on board. We have the ability to actually take advantage of the good and the bad, as long as we understand it. You know what I'm saying? And when it falls, it's got to be quick. The fear is far more powerful than greed. So the fall will be quick. We don't want to miss it. But
something else.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you. Emotions is my biggest problem. Something else with the interest rate announcement tomorrow of Britain.
Yeah.
If it's the same, obviously it will be all right. But I just have a feeling that with the market as it is and the Eurozone that is so up to crap, the chances are good that that will strengthen the pound.
Okay, right. Remember I mentioned about UK having the highest inflation going. Now, someone was saying Zimbabwe's got higher. I'm talking about not screwed economies. I'm talking about. I'm not sorry. It's not insulting Zimbabweans. I mean, you know, look at the 6-day war, Israel, when 1967, I think it was. Then they wiped out all those guys in 6 days. You know what I mean? And I think it was General Dayan himself said, "Don't start taking the mickey out of the Arab soldiers. It's just a lot of appalling generals." And that's the overall problem with a lot of the world. A lot of successful countries like Singapore had a brilliant general, Lee Kuan Yew. Unfortunately, Africa has got some of the worst, and that's the problem. not knocking the individual. That certainly depends on the individual. You can be good or bad or great or depends on a lot of things. That's on the individual basis. But collectively, they haven't got good leaders. And that's not me saying, that's fact. There's a lot of people there saying it. Whatever race, sex, belief, or whatever, it's not going down that road. That's just an excuse to get out of the facts of life. The facts of life, leaders have not been good. And as a result of it, Zimbabwe and sort of Central African Republican and whatever, and even Turkey, they've got these ridiculous, but that's different. We're talking about, I can't think of the right word, normal is probably the wrong word. Over 10% is high for it's supposed to be an industrial economy, you know what I mean? And so they've got to do something about it. Otherwise, it's going to get out of hand. And we'll have the same problem. You don't believe in the currency anymore, then they want hard assets and have to issue more bonds, which will go out of date, and banks will go all sort of be hectic. So let's see. Now, it's coming out at 4.5, and they're expecting 0.25%. What time is it again? Excuse me. It's going to be at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Okay, so it's coming out 1 o'clock tomorrow. They're expecting 0.25% increase. I am going to be staggered if they have a zero increase, and that would be even more staggered than the euro behaving like it did, Farney and Company. But the only thing is, will it be a quarter or will it be a half? I think it will be a quarter because they're too scared to bloody well spook the market. I mean, they're human. They're not suicide bombers. They're scared for their own jobs. They're scared. So I don't think it'll be a half. If it is a half, then we know that they're taking the job seriously, and we've got a serious issue there. So it's a possibility to be a half, and that would be quite courageous to do it, to be honest. But I think they will probably go and play the safe way and do the 0.25%. When it's released, you're going to get a jump in the pound. Yes, you're quite correct. If it's a half, then you get a serious jump. Yeah. Before we go to Bitcoin, are we okay with that, Farney?
Yes, I'm just concerned that I'm still short on the pound CHF, and just wonder what my precautions needs to be.
Good question. Well, that's so much. How the hell is it doing? I've taken quite a bit of profit. You see all this red dope panic. I banked quite a bit today. Stopped out the profit and closed himself. I'm still in GBP CHF. What's it doing at the moment? $80, so that's peanuts. Sorry, in comparison, I know $80, the 5 accounts a lot, but I get slightly more than that. $80 is what, peanuts. I think, all right, okay. If you're in a bit of a profit, we've got till 1 o'clock. We're doing the trade room tomorrow morning. We got till 1 o'clock. If that's in a profit, hopefully more than 10 pips, hopefully about 20 pips profit. You start putting in 10 pips, and then it's a different story. But I'm hoping it's going to be maybe 20 pips in a profit before 1 o'clock, get it down to break even. So if it goes berserk, you're not going to lose. You get my point. It's too close, really, but rather that and it goes berserk. You know what I mean? That's what I reckon.
No, okay, great stuff. No, I think you're right. So I just hope that it will not be that dramatically, and indeed the stop loss, because I'm not happy with that trade at this point in time.
Yeah, I'm still happy with the short, and I agree with you, Farney. I'm not happy where the market's performing. The euro did put the shakers to me as well, not financially, because it means you've got to hang on to something that's rational. And you're a chemist, and Marnie's an engineer. That takes some sort of rationality to do that. And when things become irrational, believe me, I'm an emotional person, but I'm going to get ahead of the game. I need some rationality there. So I feel that completely. All I can say is, I'll tell you what I think will happen. It'll be 0.25%. It'll be discount the market. But what I cannot, I discussed, remember in the CPI earlier on, about Marnie and me not tell the husband going to see a film scenario. I don't know what Marnie's going to take of that film she's going to see with me on Friday. I don't know if you know, Chocolate Victoria. You know what I mean? This sort of hypothetical film we're both going to go and see. I don't know how her reaction's going to be. And I'm going to ask her, we're going to see, I don't know, I can't think of the film at the moment, but whatever's on there. You don't know your reaction until you see it. No, what a load of crap. Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Roger. The meal's on me afterwards. You don't know the reaction afterwards. That's the thing that frightens me, is the reaction. I mentioned that in the CPI. I'm going on about it. It's important to understand this. It came out as expected. I think that was a far bigger reaction I would have expected on the gold. That's why don't hang on too long. Modify your stock, as I advise the guys to do, because I think that's sustained. That's an overreaction. When they wake up and smell the roses, they say, this is what actually has happened. Not that sodding much, actually. So I think Paul Mackin actually did do that. Luckily, we made some bucks on that development. But the bottom line is, I am positive on the sell on the GBP CHF. I am not positive on the reaction of an expected interest rate that's going to be, which is discount expected anyway. It's these damn emotions out there flying around because there's a lot of balls in the air and people want action. And when they're not getting it, they're almost making it up themselves, if you like. And that's the thing I'm trying to deal with at the moment, etc. And yeah, so what you can do, if it starts coming to profit, don't look at rands, obviously, look at pips. If it gets to the 20 pip profit and you're a bit worried about it, get it down to break even. If you're stopped out where you haven't lost, if it's still in there, let it run. You get the idea. I think that's probably best. We'll move into Bitcoin in a minute. I just want to clarify that with you guys. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Get this out of the way, because I try to make a habit of not staring. Not for me so much to try and give you the habit. Used to it. I did it before. Any emotional guy, you do it so many times, you know, it's like anything else, I suppose. But yeah, trying to get the habit of people not staring, because mistakes are made with how much it plays in your mind by staring at the damn thing. But you'll find out yourself. Not good me telling you, the way you find out yourself. The quicker you find that out, the quicker the better it is. But you still got to learn yourself. Right, Bitcoin. I'm certainly not an expert on it, but what I will say though is some companies offer it, we don't. Remember, we're expanding overseas, like I mentioned, and we spent a lot of money to get the right regulations and play the game. So so that's the reason why I'm going to stick by it. What do I mean by that? Bitcoin is not regulated. Now, you might not have heard it. I'm telling you about it. It's called the FaZe Ombudsman. The Ombudsman, you're all aware of the Ombudsman. That's the guy you turn to when you get Roger turning around and saying, put all your money on NASDAQ. It's going to fly off. Put all your money on it. No problem at all. And you do that and it flies up. And then you stopped out and you lose your entire sum. Now, I can't say that, but I just did say that for argument's sake, guys. It's recorded. Example. And then you turn around and you've got that recorded and you go to the Ombudsman. And I lost all this money because that regulated person said, I can't fail, it's guaranteed, I'm going to make all this money. And that didn't work out. I can't say that. I can't say it's guaranteed. You can then have a chit chat with the Ombudsman and we were in trouble. However, if I say that on Bitcoin, you've got nowhere to go because it's not regulated. So I'm going to turn around mine and say, Bitcoin, the best. Mortgage your house, the entire amount, put it all in a Bitcoin, buy it, it's going to go shooting up. You know, that's what a lot of these chop shop sales guys do. You might have watched, what's that film called The Boiler Room? Get it out and watch it. That's how the chop shop guys work in America. You should watch that film, Boiler Room. Get an idea how they perform. Yeah, no problem at all. And then you come back and you lost everything because it suddenly didn't for whatever it came down. You love me, whether I'm regulated or no ombudsman, it goes the right way. What if it goes the wrong way? You're going to be out, you're going to say, this, I'm pissed off with me. What do? I can't do squat. So if you want to go to Bitcoin, you can go, you have to go and open an account with another broker, but remember, you've got no legal protection until they work out a way how they're going to issue it. Because the thing with Bitcoin, nothing wrong with the blockchain or that particular area. What is wrong is a couple of thoughts, not necessarily in this order. Number one, people see it go up, so they'll bid it up because they're trying to make a quick capital gain, and it's why I went on the price. The problem is what it's delivering is often way above the price that it actually is delivering. It's like a PE ratio, price earnings ratio. It's way up at 1,000, but it's only delivering 5. Is that really justify that? And then when Calm comes in and says over ones, and it falls off and rapidly comes back as the big guys start rapidly take the profit. The problem is old Joe amateur, Joe retail guy, just starting off, clutching his hope in his heart and no idea what's going on. He's been buying in at the top. He's waiting because he's scared. He don't want to be a pioneer. He's a follower. He waits till all bid up. Everyone else is doing it, then it must be right. Forgetting the maths of the broke, you know what I mean? So bids it up, and when they're all bought into it later on, that's when the guys know what's going on, start pulling out. And now he's bought in at, let's say the ceiling is 100. He's bought in at 95 because he's missing out. FOMO, fear of missing out. He's buying it at the top. He doesn't know, you know, and they're grabbing it. And because he's buying, the big boys are selling. Remember, you've got to have a buyer and a seller. What a pleasure. Bitcoin's the thing. They're selling to these guys so they can get out. Then they're all out. The thing comes down. They're caught with the trousers down. That happened a few times. So just be careful of that. And you've got no recourse. The other aspect is for money laundering purposes. Remember, Bitcoin is all in the ether. So I can say to you, because now poor old Marnie now has now gone from a lovely lady to a major terrorist. So Marnie, now you're now a terrorist. You're a terrorist in Timbuktu, for one example, and you need funds to plant your bombs. Right. Now, there's a lot of ways you can do that, but most of them either trust or you go through banks. It's got a paper trail. Bitcoin isn't. I just deposit $100 million worth, whatever you need in that, and you just pick it up anywhere else in the world. Can't see where it comes from. No, you can't do any exchange controls or anything like that. Are you with me? So a pirate, there you are. You're a pirate. There you are. And then fantastic. Now I decide I'm sick of South Africa over $100 million. And I'm going to take it out. Exchange control, so I'm not allowed to take 2 million rand. Dollars. Not a problem. Bung it in a Bitcoin account, and then it just sits there in the ether. It's untraceable. Nobody can get it. It's all nicely all sorted out that way. As far as I can see, I'm not a great. I haven't done a course on it. I'm not great on it, but I'm just giving you the basics how it works. And then I decide I'm going to shift over. Check my pockets. No, there's nothing in there. I'm just going over there. Fine. I settle into wherever it is outside SA. I just go into the computer, open it up, and I start taking my Bitcoin money out, and away I go. There's no protection on that. You see what I mean? It's open for tax fiddles, not avoidance, evasion. Avoidance is legal. Tax evasion is illegal. Terrorism, all sorts of, what you call it, gangster money. Cartels can move it around. Till they got how they can control that, then they can start regulating. Until they control that, it's a bit of an issue. So at the moment, if you want to speculate, a lot of guys have done that and done extremely well. I'm not knocking that. Just bear in mind, go open an account, do that. But just remember, it's not regulated. And the price of the Bitcoin, there's many differences in price. And you get Luno's the famous one in South Africa. If you look at their price, you look at the one in the States, two different things. So rather go and get the one in the States than the one over here. Because of the big gap in price, that's often their problem. That's why you have a dealer desk to get the best possible price. None of that involved there. So you just got to play with the price they give. And often very, very wide spreads, etc. And because of the extreme volatility, they're often very high margins as well. So you can't go floating to that with 4 or 5K, 4,000 or 5,000 rands I'm talking about. You haven't got the Tom Fritz. You need decent money. You got to understand hell of a wide spreads, hell of a large margin. It's not heavily geared, because it's a risk to the market makers like Luno, and there's no protection, and you can do well, but just be on your toes with it. That's my take. Long-winded way. Hope we understand each other. And Magic Muller, that would go back the same with these bloody. Again, it's all sales pitching, and all these things unbelievable. You call it Instagram and that. It's like robots. Nothing wrong with robots, guys. They've said something wrong because they don't have the robot. But number one, the robot is there for people to sell it. So they're making the bucks from selling it, don't forget. That's why I think it's a wonder they would do. They're getting bucks from selling it to you. And number two, it works on principles of pure technicals, no fundamental knowledge of it. It doesn't know the non-farm CPI is coming out in 10 minutes, purely technicals, and they ride it out. Actually, you've got to have a drawdown capability of it. So you've got very little Tom balance. You can't use it. It's useless to you, number one. And number two, if you've got 1,000 rand, how's it going to work for you if you've got to pay so much for it? Any profits you make, you're going to make probably about 1,000% a year just to pay for the damn robot, which won't work for you because any drawdowns your margin for. So again, you need, like everything else on the planet, you need knowledge, you need the knowledge, you need the tools, and you need the bloody capital. And people without either of them looking for some easy way out. And that's where a lot of these guys under themselves selling these robots. Nothing wrong with the robot, it's the sales and how it's sold. You know, it's not the product itself, it's how they're going about it. And when you have a desperate economy, a desperate poor area like you do over here, and basically very uneducated, they're manna from heaven to these guys. You get the point. Sorry to be horrible, but it's the way it is. Are we okay with that? Sorry to be honest, but you know, it's getting to be breaking my heart to see the guy with a little to offer, being that little bit of crumbs is sort of whipped off for these charlatans, you know. But anyway, to answer your question, Marnie. Thank you. And most not really know, I've a bit of experience, been on the planet long enough, I've traveled quite a bit. But again, it's a bit of experience, yeah, and a bit of common sense thrown in, and questioning it, you know. And I look back over the past and some of the daft things I did, and I come to it's quite simple. There's nothing for nothing. I always go back to the boy-girl thing. I'm a 5 and Marnie's a 9. So I asked Marnie out, and she says no, and I'm all hurt. So Marnie turns around, would you go out with a 1? No, fear, no, where's I'm going out with a 1. And so if you don't go out with a 1, why should I as a 9 go out with you as a sodding 5? Hurtful, but you got to think that way. You know what I mean? What can I offer Marnie, who's a 9 when I'm a 5, to go out with me when I clearly don't want to go out with a 1? If you can't offer something in a way of equality involved, and that person is giving you the world, why are they doing it? You know, you've got to somewhat balance it. And that takes a bit of thought. We're so busy thinking what we want, we forget what we've got to give to get what we want. You know what I mean? Well, there you are then. You got a 9-size bank account, so there we are. So there, that's it. So now I'm 80 years old and I'm going out with a 20-year-old stunner. The problem is you've got to be a bit thick-skinned, because anybody think that 20-year-old is going out for my 80-year-old sort of virility and good looks? Hardly. He's got a 9-figure bank balance. That might be it. So yeah, that's basically prostitution, isn't it? And quite frankly, not very flattering for me, the 80-year-old. But everyone else damn well knows that. She's playing me, you know? Get my point? Think with some guy you've never met in your life who's going to give you more than your loved ones. Why? You see that all the time coming through on the SMS. I'm going to sell sequence and MTN. You have 1. No, I haven't bloody. Why are you spending money to have 1 something? You know what I mean? Oh, I've just got to subscribe at £3 a day. You get the idea. And the uneducated or desperate will do that. Now they're losing £3 a day. They often say the lottery is a tax on the poor for that reason. See, it's thinking. Not being harsh, it's thinking. There's actually quite interesting. I'm at the office today and I was listening to 702 on the drive in there. And there's a lady there saying just the thing. We've got to be on our toes for it. It was more talking about somebody famous on Facebook making friends with you. So I've picked on one. I'll pick on Farney now. I'm a very famous name. Well, I don't know. Think of somebody famous. And I send Farney a friend request. Now, you've never met me in my life before, and I've never heard of you. You've certainly heard of me. I'm very, very famous. Radar should go off, because there's an enormous amount of fake IDs on Facebook. And then you're great friends and all the rest of it. It's going to be somewhere. It's going to be something in it. Not always money, but you get the idea. You know what I'm saying? So I'll give Tiger Woods. I'm golf, right? Tiger Woods suddenly wants to make friends with me. I'm going to be highly suspicious. Why does Tiger Woods, I've never met in my life, billionaire, the greatest golfer the world's ever seen, suddenly wants to make friends with me, 155 handicap? Just joking, but you know what I mean. You know, it's got to be watching it. All good? Nothing horrible here. It's just common sense, isn't it? It's nearly 5 o'clock. We're probably earning a little bit early today. We hope we're going to get trades out tomorrow. Talk about trades, you might be able to get a look at gold. If you want to wait till tomorrow, I won't blame you, but I'm not totally against gold. Maybe we can get prudent daily here. There's any support levels here coming in. Let's try the 4 hour. We might get a trade out. It's coming out a bit of support there. What's the dollar doing? Dollars start to rise a bit, which is a little bit negative for gold, but how's it going to be sustained? I see a couple of wicks on the hourly. Let's turn to the 1 hour. It's got a bit of a support on the 1 hour. I think it's a possibility if you want to take a gold one, maybe a $10 stop, maybe a bit lower than that. Maybe a $15 stop. Maybe you can back up to 30, maybe 25, 55, maybe 2060. You can always modify if it doesn't get there. I think it's a possibility of if you get a $15 stop, I'm not sure it's going to pull back that far. We want to be on it. Anyone want to try that one? It is a bit on the aggressive side, guys. So if you haven't got much pre-margin and you're extremely risk averse, maybe not. It's gauging on the risky side, more than normal, I mean. But I think it's a possibility. But the pullback seemed to have occurred. We'll go back to the hourly chart, and I think they might have a bit of a few buyers being attracted here. Maybe just go for that, for an aggressive one for the evening. How's that? Anyone want to look at it? I'll put it up for you. You tell me want to do it or not. If you have any doubts, when in doubt, stay out. It is aggressive, I'm telling you. Okay. $15 set, so that's 30, that'd be 2015. 2060 should do the job. Yeah, it's not a bad risk reward. You make a slightly tighter TP if you want. It's only what, $27 a micro. So have a go at that. Aggressive being every word. Anyone have a go at it? What about you, Marnie? Farney and Marnie and anybody else? If you like it, work out your volumes. It starts moving. Put your order in. Put your SL and TB in afterwards. It's taken too long to do that. It's already jumped $3 as we speak. But that's, don't get excited. It might come back a bit. You know, it's jumping around a bit. Okay, happy with that. We'll put that down for the aggressive one. Okay, one DD. Not going too big. Make sure you got enough free margin. It's on the aggressive side. 202. Put it 202. 20, what was it? 2015. 2060. $27, wasn't it? Don't use all your profits on the CPI for this, eh, guys? I know one guy, I'm not measuring names, has done just that, unfortunately. Went in far too big after doing so well, try and double up, and you know, it happens. Very difficult. Took me a long time to get a hang of that, so I don't expect to do it in 5 minutes. Just beware. Emotions is probably the biggest enemy. No, it's a buy, Paul. A buy. If the stop is down here, it can't be a sell. Stop be up there in the TP. And look at the ratio. Look at the difference between that to that and that to that. So it can't be a buy. Otherwise, the ratio is all up to maggots. If you don't agree, or it's too risky, or it's too aggressive, leave it. Might be wrong. And if you do want to do it, just make sure it's money you can afford. Like any trade, money you can afford to lose. If you can't afford to lose it, you're in the wrong business. Derivatives are not for you. But it's only $30 now because it's obviously gone up a little bit. So it's about $30 a micro. If you can afford 300, maybe go for 150. I don't know. I'm just suggesting it might come right. But I'm just pointing out it's aggressive, but I think we could get a bit of a bounce But always remember, the cell's above, then it's a cell. The cell is below, then it must be a by. And look at the ratio. Has to be upside. And long is a bit of a giveaway on the screen anyway. As some people don't know, long is by, sell is short. So short means sell, long means buy. We sent out a trade idea a couple of months ago. Short at whatever, and what's that mean? Well, it means sell. Don't roll your eyes, Farney. We've got to start somewhere.
Agree. Now I'm in. I took it.
Now I'm talking about it's not knowing short and sell a bit one and the same. Yeah, some people might roll their eyes, don't. Everyone starts and it might not be familiar. We get so, I certainly do, get so used to the terminology, forget it's a new language for a lot of people. You start speaking to me Afrikaans at fluently level and you'd see me sort of scratching my head. And you can speak Zulu, so I can't use that excuse either.
Okay, so if I say Daisa, it's the same as sell. In short, in Fushan. So it's totally different. So in Afrikaans is kort, in verkoop.
Yeah, that I do know. But Dyson, what language is that?
Zulu. Daisa.
Daisa. So you're short selling, it's a Daisa. Okay. I can pronounce that, so that's okay. I can pronounce that. Can you do the click sound?
Some of them, there's one or two songs that they're doing in Xhosa that I really cannot do it because they it's extremely difficult. I think only when you really understand or know the words by heart, then it become more pronounceable. But for me,
sure.
the fact that I'm here in the Free State with the Sothos and not using Zulu that much, you lose quite the pronunciation of a lot of words. It is a fact.
I mean, I was born in the Sudan. They spoke Arabic there, and I lived for a while in Jeddah. My father was working out there as a kid. This is many years ago, and apparently I could not only speak Arabic, but I could pronounce it properly. My father learned it. He could write classical Arabic as well, but he couldn't pronounce it because he learned as an adult. Because I learned as a kid, apparently my pronunciation was, you wouldn't know, was not an Arabic speaker if I was on the phone to you. The trouble is, I didn't ever use, once I went to school in the UK and we left and they came back to the UK, I never used the language. So I can remember, I can probably count to 10 in it and that's about it. But yeah, so yeah, obviously not using it all the time. But it's quite interesting. I was told that in the last war, because a lot of German guys had come to Holland, you know, and trying to, like, fifth column, if you like. And they're pretty good in Dutch. But apparently, so I'm told, there's a seaside resort just near Rotterdam called Scheveningen. Now, apparently, unless you're Dutch, you just can't pronounce it right. It's just not quite right. You're good, but not quite right. So if there are any doubts about the oath, you have to make him say Scheveningen, how it's pronounced. And if it wasn't quite right, then you, this guy ain't Dutch, you know what I mean? And quite interesting, more in Afrikaans way, quite interesting, the guy, I know Bob Jones. Now that's a Welsh, South African guy, Welsh name. Now his English is, well, completely, utterly and totally, like, more than fluent, better than most English speakers. And I asked him once, and I said, are you Afrikaans? And he said, well, my father and mother are Afrikaans, so basically, yes. How the hell did you know? And you know Hardest, the boss here, because he pronounced the name Hardest properly. He might say Hardest, he says Hardest, something like that. Because when he calls it Hardest, he says it properly. I said, I caught you out because you pronounced it properly. If you had pronounced it like I do, then I would never have known. So you can actually be caught out because you do the job properly as well. That would be amusing, that. Now I say Marnie, it's probably Marani or something like that. So yeah.
But a language that it's not very good on my ear is Scottish. It's
I understand
extreme.
any word of it. Don't understand. Look, when it's spoken High Scots, like any high language, High Dutch, High Afrikaans, High anything, it's beautiful. But most people don't speak it properly, basically. And when it's not spoken properly, especially in certain areas of the poor areas of Glasgow, it's virtually unintelligible. As I tell you, even worse is Northern Irish. I used to be in the Merchant Navy many years ago, and we'd come to Northern Ireland, and I used to try, guys used to come, fix things. There's a ferry, fix things on the ship where we import. I just couldn't converse with them because I had a clue what they're talking about. The accent was so powerful, it just meaningless. In fact, I was over here as Brendan. I remember old Brendan. The trouble is, a great guy. When he had a couple of beers, his accent strengthened. I had no idea what he's talking about. It was just so yeah. And that's English, my language. So you can imagine the guy it's not. Yeah. But to whether it's effective or not depends on the ear of the beholder. But I do know from experience, I've had where it's virtually unintelligible, especially when it's extremely broad. I lived there for a little bit as well. And the guys used to know, I'm a bloody Sassenach, you know, so they wouldn't tone it down. They'd actually thicken it a bit when I'm around, just to see, because I couldn't see what they're on about. It's a slight, fancy words, antipathy, as you probably realise, against the English. It goes back, you know, back to William Wallace and Edward the First time. So talk about South Africa changing, they're still bloody anti 800 years later. I must admit, hope you're not Scots here, because I did live there. Didn't like it much. Found it a bit dismal, to be honest. Mind you, I find the UK pretty dismal. South Africans love it. I find it quite dismal. But I found England a little less dismal. Quite liked Ireland, not my first choice, but I quite liked it. But I found Scotland really dismal. Maybe it's the weather, I don't know. Just maybe the weather is really attitude. I like Spain. If you want to emigrate, don't go to Australia, go to Spain. They know how to live, you know what I mean?
The country or the senoritas?
Well, I don't know that, but yeah, that's true. But yeah, but it's it's a Mediterranean culture, yeah. They say they live to eat, not like in the UK, they eat to live. There they live to eat, you know. It's I'm sure I've got black in blood somewhere in the past, because I just love that attitude. I like that fun attitude. I'm loud, I'm outward going, you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't think I settle well in Switzerland. Here's about the best I've travelled, but God, they're not doing their best to screw it up. Apart from that, it's pretty good over here. Fantastic. We've got so much different areas, and you know, but I don't know. Pity. Anyway, so let's see how this gold trade works out. I mentioned it's aggressive. Don't go too cute with it, but maybe we can get something going here. The GBP CHF, I have no idea what it's doing. I'll have a quick check. Might be worth, if it's doing okay, do something about it. So look, hang it up there. Hovering. AUD have been stuck in. How long have we been stuck in this for? 26th of April. What's my swap fees? Not horrendous. Sorry, well, it's pretty small. I'm not worried about that. And it's still, anyway, I'm still in there. I left it many run. This one was starting to come right, but it seemed to be hovering. It's really tight range, this one. Dow was doing okay. Start to maybe come right. So you might get lucky on this one. The GBP finally, and anyone else in it. And if you're in a nice profit, maybe get your stop now. Not 10 pips, you're wasting your time. 20 pips, preferably 30 pips in profit. Get it down to entry, and then sleep easy. And if you're still in tomorrow, don't worry about the interest rates. And anything funny that happen, because you're protected anyway. Probably about the best thing to come up with. Okay, guys, any questions? Because I think it's probably going to get a bit of earlier wrap up today. Not much else. We've had a bit of a monologue from me. I do beg your pardon, but discussed a few things, and maybe we can get some decent trade back to normal tomorrow. just bear in mind, unfortunately, CPI was a disappointment, not for you financially, I mean for direction wise. So be prepared, it might be a bit quiet. We'll see what we can do. Okay. Any questions? Anything you want to discuss? Sorry, came a bit late, Mandela, probably closing up a bit early tonight. But anything you want to discuss there? Be good. Hope you get sorted out, Obed, on whatever happened there in the CPI, because that was disappointing. Are we all good? Anything else before we close up?
Thank you all, and thank you, Roger. I really enjoyed the CPI trade, the straddle trade, and we'll talk tomorrow again. Thanks all.
Okay, good
Bye.
stuff. Fantastic. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, guys. Thanks for attendance. Hardly anybody left in there anyway, so might as well move it on. Okay, one Dilly, thanks for sticking with. You're in goal. That's fine. Don't double up. I hope it comes right for you. Thanks for sticking it out, and great. Let's see if we can do better tomorrow. Cheers, guys.
Hi everyone, trading.